Are you ready for UFC 307 this weekend? Are you sure you're ready? Because it's going down in Salt Lake City this weekend, and you can get in on all the action with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers who bet $5 can get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up using my promo code Sonnen. DraftKings, the crown is yours. That's $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. You can use your $200 in bonus bets to stay in on all the action. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun at DraftKings Daily Fantasy for a shot at winning cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers, use my promo code Sonnen. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Right now, that's promo code Sonnen only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Kayla Harrison, people don't understand her. They really don't. There's an interview out there, and I don't think you guys have seen it. It was a massive interview. Millions of people watched it. Not only is audited, it's publicly audited on YouTube. I believe it was 2.2 million the last time I saw it. It was a meaningful amount of time ago. She did it with a good friend of mine named Steven Crowder. Steven's got something called the Mug Club. But she said things in that interview that I've never heard anybody mention in MMA. In fact, I'll watch Kayla do interviews, and she doesn't say anything in her MMA interviews like what she revealed with Steven. And for that very reason, even though this was public, for that very reason, I don't ever talk about it. I feel like it's out of school, but it's not. It's public. And I only share that when I say she's misunderstood, you want to understand her, you need to go find that interview. You want to know what this is about. You want to know why it matters. You know what drives her. She's already reached the absolute heights, the Olympic Games, twice. You need to go watch that interview. And whatever you think you see with Kayla, and you do see rough and you do see tough, and she's not a teddy bear. She's not the friendliest, softest, cuddliest. That's true. She's tough. That's true. But she's tough for reasons that I can just promise you will highly respect if you go and watch this. Now, while I dance around this topic like it's a secret that isn't, but I'm taking her cues. She's never brought that to this market. All right. It's important because she was 135 pounds against Holly Holm, which was UFC 300. That was April of this year. And prior to that, her sophomore year of high school. As a matter of fact, the exact numbers I have for you is she was 145 pounds for the last time, her junior year of high school. So I'm just taking a year off to take those 10 pounds off. She competed, for perspective for you, when she won the Olympic gold medal at 172 pounds. Okay? So the prime of her life. In the most important event of her life, she was 172 pounds. Later in life, she had to change her physiology to get down to 135, and it was all because that's where the opportunity was. And to explain to you how bad you would have to want something to do that, and then you got to ask yourself, does she still want it? And if so, why? Why would she need the recognition? Why would she need the pat on the back? She's already got it. Well, there's something else that drives her. And her performance against Holly Holm was largely panned, as Holly was a great, but her best days are behind her. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe Holly, for the first time ever, got absolutely overwhelmed. Why don't we ask Holly? Holly, if anything, is a very kind person, and she's a sport. She'll tell you. Why don't we ask her? Before we act as though Kayla doesn't look good. And, it's a very big deal, guys, because we're seeing the sport change. And when you talk to analysts, they will largely tell you, because MMA is now MMA and it didn't used to be. It used to be somebody with a wrestling background. And then after his wrestling career, he could transition. They're right. That's exactly what it was. Or you'd have a jiu-jitsu guy, and after the IBJJF and his run at Abu Dhabi, he would transition, stick around after practice, and hit some focus mitts. That's true. Take you all the way to a world championship training like that. And people are now arguing that because a kid's first day is no longer in a specialized sport, it's now at an actual thing called MMA, which wasn't even a term, didn't even exist. I hear you on that. That makes sense. I'm seeing some of that. But where are you getting the idea that the sport has greatly changed? Because you're not getting it at the top. Israel Adesanya was just world champion. Comes to mind. He's a specialist. Never had a wrestling match in his life. Alex Pereira, who is currently on top, is a specialist. Never had a grappling match of any fashion in his life. Doesn't even have a black belt from a gym from his own buddy who he pays in Glover Teixeira. So when I look at somebody, as I move through the weights and I move through the rosters and I start to see there's still a massive calling for the specialists. I look at Dricus du Plessis, who was a member of the Greco-Roman national team, or at least trained with the Greco-Roman national team in South America before he got into kickboxing, just for example. And you've now got Kayla Harrison, though why she does not have the belt, my partners DraftKings have come out with mythical odds, and DraftKings have put Kayla over absolutely everybody. Over absolutely everybody, including Pennington. Oh, by the way, including Pena, should Pena get the drop on Pennington. DraftKings, they all have Kayla as the favorite. I think that's right. I think you see it that same way. I think you might be inclined to say something different to create some conversation, but if you actually had to part with your money at DraftKings, which you're welcome to do right now, I don't think that you would see it another way. And whether she gets there or not, right? I mean, there's many a slip between a cup and a lip. I'm just sharing for you. She does represent something very special, which is a specialist. She represents a success to judo, which it's never had. Ronda Rousey is the only athlete in history to represent judo and show it as anything other than a complete waste of time when it comes to actual combat. I can tell you the history and the rules of judo, and I don't look at that to be a jerk, like that's a community. I don't look at it to be a jerk, but Ronda Rousey is the only one that has brought honor to that sport. Not only is she the only champion we've ever had, we've never even had a judo competitor compete for the championship. In fact, back it up from there, we've never had a number one contendership match that involved a judo practitioner. And now you have Kayla, who, instead of coming into the sport to be the next Ronda or to replace Ronda, I think it'd be smarter from a marketing standpoint if she was here to stand with Ronda. And I think it would be helpful for Ronda to attach her name to Kayla and talk about how proud she is of her. Kayla's not here if it's not for Ronda. Kayla didn't know that she had a discipline that could go out there and work. And it doesn't work for the men. And that's purely because of the uniforms that they wear. That's the problem with judo. You're the baddest judo good in the world. You got to fight in the locker room and you guys aren't wearing jackets. I mean, it's just one of these things. And I'm not trying to bag on judo. What I'm saying is she is bringing a real attention to it. She deserves a lot of credit for that. But she's also showing the power of doing something better than anybody else. To make believe that the specialist still does not have a seat at the table, let alone a seat at the head of the table, is simply not true. And how would it be? How would a good athlete go to an MMA gym at 11 years old? Well, Chael, they do it. Well, do they? Do they by choice? If you have good athletes whose parents are going to get them somewhere, do you think they really take them to an MMA gym where they're going to do what? They're going to train for 8 years before they can even legally compete? The parents going to take them each day and pay their dues in something that they can't even compete in? No. Doesn't mean your gyms are going to be empty. Boxing gyms aren't empty, but they're close, and they're few and far between, and the kids that make it in there stumbling off the street because they have nowhere else to go. I mean, all of a sudden you're down to a selective crew that you're going to teach a skill to and then raise up and act as though they're the great athletes of the world. They're not. They're second rate at best. And if you have a sport that has a lineage that you could get a college scholarship in, for example, or you could go and you got a spot in Olympic Village, by example, now all of a sudden you're going to bring a much higher class of athlete that's going to be able to make that transition. So what's going on with Kayla is very interesting. Kayla has her hardest opponent, by the way. Caitlin Vieira is the hardest opponent Kayla Harrison has ever had. She is as strong as Holly, but she's got some hips for positions on the ground where she's likely to end up that she moves a little bit in a little bit more dangerous way than Holly. So DraftKings has Kayla as the favorite. I'm not going to disagree with that. And it's not at all a commentary on her opponent, by the way, who's awesome. It just speaks to a byproduct. Making 135 pounds is a byproduct of the discipline, of the focus, of the conditioning, of the dieting, of the lifestyle. It has to be. Kayla Harrison simply cannot weigh 135 pounds and not be in great shape. It's calories in versus calories out. You can go write all the books that you want on Amazon. Go read them all and find a little shortcut around a diet. You're never going to get there. You're going to waste your time. You could just listen to me. It's calories in versus calories out. So if she is going to cannibalize her body and get down, there's no choice but to burn a lot of calories. And through that process, you get in really good shape and you get really strong. You get really fit. You get really angry. I'm not an advocate for cutting weight. Neither is Kayla Harrison, by the way. Kayla would not have cut a pound if she didn't have to. She proved that in her judo career. She had no choice. If she wants to participate and she wants a chance, she's got to do it at 135 pounds or below. Those are the rules. So, while I'm not an advocate, I will share with you, it does create an expectation within yourself. It will create an anger where you will remember how you felt and what you went through, and you will take that out on your opponent. You will want victory for the price that you have paid. And the other girls can't all have that. It's a byproduct. It's a unique scenario. And DraftKings loves Kayla. But guys, this is nothing more than a tournament. And I wish Dana would advertise it that way. I wish. Because it's what it is. I wish he'd advertise it that way. We have 4 girls on the same card, and the winners are going to fight each other, and they're going to fight each other for the world championship. And DraftKings is going to have those odds too. And Kayla Harrison is going to be a very meaningful favorite over Raquel Pennington. Whether that's right or wrong. Raquel's possibly better than we all know. But DraftKings will have Kayla a meaningful favorite. If Pena gets the jump on Raquel, Pena versus Kayla is a whole other conversation. Because Pena offers the one thing that no other girl is equipped with, which is the size and the strength to deal with it. She has a wrestling background. And that is superior to a judo background. And I could prove that historically and tell you stories that would probably bore you because nobody cares about judo in the first place. And I'm not looking to be a jerk. It's just a reality.